Hello. Welcome. We're back. It's always weird to do it like this. I usually have headphones in. It's usually a little bit different setup. That doesn't matter. Welcome. It's Saturday. We are working on our Game Jam project. So we have been doing this 2 weeks previously now, working on a Game Jam project for the Metroidvania month Game Jam. The name might imply. Our goal here is to make a Metroidvania game of some scale and description in the course of a month. So 30 days, ending, what is it now? March? Ending March 15th is the last day. We started February 15th. We've done 2 streams so far that were mostly programming. I've been doing a lot of programming offline as well. We can look at what we've got so far, but it is, I didn't honestly do a lot of coding this last week. I've been very unexpectedly busy. And I don't really want to focus on doing more programming today. I think we've seen a lot of that so far, and I think that today we basically want to do a handful of things. So let's actually open up the notepad, and we will, or text edit if you prefer, if you're feeling spicy. And we can write down what we want to do today, because I think it's going to be important to kind of enumerate this. Mike's a little bit hot. Okay, I'll try to just sit back from it a little bit further. Cool, so what are we doing today? What are we doing today? Anyway, first thing we're doing is figuring out where to put this keyboard. So also the thing is, I gotta kind of move all the mic and everything around when we move the stream to work on this computer. So it is typical that at the beginning of the stream, it's just a big tangle of wires that we kind of got to deal with, and so we'll get used to that. We'll move things around until we have everything in a good position, like the mic and the keyboard and everything else. Okay, so what are we doing today? The first thing that I want to do is lock in our mechanics. Okay, so this was something that we were supposed to do last week. This was on the list of things we were going to do last week. We ended up programming the whole time instead. We are locking in our mechanics today. That means everything that you're going to be able to do in that game, in our game, we need to list out. So list out explicitly everything you can do. Everything you can do in our game. The next thing that we need to do, and so this is going to be a complete list. These are not going to include everything that we've programmed so far, but it's going to be, everything needs to be either programmed or programmable. So these need to be things that are either already in our kind of framework that we've put together so far, or things that we feel confident that we can put in the next 2 weeks. Because what is today? The 5th? So really in the next 10 days, mercy. Okay, so in the next 10 days, things that we can be able to add to the game. The next thing that I want to do is to lock in a layout, is to work on the layout. So I think we're just going to go into like an image editor of some kind and see what we can do about the layout for our game. Try to start arranging things. We've got here, this is in no way, hey, the terminal's yelling at me. Why are you doing that? We have like an example layout here just to look at our different mechanics. This is no kind of official layout. This was all just test stuff. And so we need to know, I think, what we're building toward, and this will let us like establish a hard scope for our game. Basically what I want to do is, I feel like the first 2 weeks we spent a lot of time kind of ideating and experimenting, seeing what is possible. From this point forward, I want us to be to know what's left to build and to really put hard kind of boundaries around what we plan to do. And I expect we'll slash things off of that as we go, but basically at the end of today's stream, I don't want us to be adding anything else new to the game. So we're going to work on the layout. Again, this is supposed to be a Metroidvania game, so we need to know at like a high level what order that we need abilities or keys or whatever you want to call them to progress, and we can start to maybe do some little puzzles. We'll talk about puzzles. Puzzles is probably too strong a word, but some of the like particular level layouts that might work as gates to different parts of the game. So that's the next thing we do. Work on the layout. Ideally, have a rough, high level layout. So this is a high level, this is like we're zoomed out, right? You've got your zoomed out map that's going to tell you like you go to this room and this room and this room and this room and this room, but it might not tell us all the things that are in the rooms, tell us all the things that are in the zones in particular, right? So that doesn't necessarily need to be locked in yet, but we can say more ideally lock in some rooms. If we have time after this, I think this is going to take the whole time. But if we have time after this, we can start to work on remaining features. And so we would enumerate what those are and then start to work on them. So let's see what we're looking at today. So what are we doing today? Anyway, we're going to lock in our mechanics. We're going to list out everything you can do in our game. That's what that means. Everything needs to be already there or something we can do in 10 days. Let's write that. In 10 days. Work on the layout. This is, again, we're just going to do this in like an image editor and start to work on remaining features. Cool. We've got background music also. I can't hear it, so hopefully it's good. Cool. Let's start by talking about mechanics. And for this, I want to actually open that image editor window. Good thing it's so skinny. Let's go to pixlr.com/e. So this is just a free, like a Photoshop-like tool that you can use in the browser. I really like to use this to draw with. You can see that we did it last Game Jam too. Oh, remember this? This is the map for Cake King's Rent Fiesta. This is the game that we made last Game Jam. Actually, that's very, very charming that that's still here. There's the oasis. There's the desert. Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to try to do something cleaner than this. But let's create a new image. Let's just make it real big. A social post, 1080 by 1080. That's not a square. They're saying it's 1080 by 1080, but the picture that they're showing is not a square. I don't know why. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just weird. Cool. So, and we've got the chat up. Cool. And the stream is running. Good. Just want to check that everything looks good in OBS. Good. Good. My desktop is already a mess. Fantastic. So this is what I've been thinking about. So the theme of our game is alchemy, right? That is the theme for the Game Jam. It's optional to use, but I do want to use it. And so actually, before we do this, I lied. Let's take a look at what we have so far. And I think this will set the stage well for the mechanics that we want to add, remaining. So basically, we can jump, we can double jump. I actually don't know if we're going to use jumping and double jumping. I would say that that is very optional. We can decide today whether this is actually a mechanic that we care about using, or if we just want to have a single jump or always have a double jump. Basically, the thought early on was that, moving from a single to a double jump or double to triple would like open up new areas. I don't think that's the direction we're going to go. So there are items around on, so obviously we can walk on these platforms. That's great. We've got these gross backgrounds in the background to help us see that we're moving. There are items here. We can pick these up and put them in our little inventory at the bottom of the screen. We can also throw them out of the inventory, but we don't have any way of selecting an item. It is just right now throwing away the top item of the inventory. So that's something that we need to do. Let's already put that down. Let's make a new one of these windows for mechanics. And so we're going to say, this is the level of detail we're getting at. Select an active item in inventory. Great. So let's put this here. Maybe over here. I don't care. Perfect. You can also see that there are these yellow boxes here. These are containers. So we can put items in these containers in the level editor. I'll show you what that looks like, actually. So like you can see, we've just placed these above here and basically added them as a child object to this box that's here. And you can see that the box has inventory items. It has this item here, which we called yellow juice because it's a jar of pee. And these, when the level is loading up, these get packed into the boxes. So let's see these. When I go up and approach the box, you can see it has a similar little inventory display. That is a polished thing. We should do a real inventory display. And we can click on items from here and put them into our inventory. And that's basically the mechanic there. What we can't do right now is take items or put items back into a box. I was going to say that's something that we should do today, but I actually don't know if we're going to have cause to implement that feature. I don't know if there's a use case for putting items back into a box, weirdly enough. But, well, we'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about features that I want to add. So that's literally all that is here so far. I actually think this is more than it appears. I think that there's a lot you could do already kind of with these pieces, adding a little kind of bit of extra scripting on top of it, but it is truly not enough, not as much as we want still. So let's go like this. Let's go look at our mechanics. So we want to select an active item in the inventory instead of just throwing out the most recent one. I want to also be able to combine items. in a special container. So there's going to be these fixed containers in the map. I want to be able to put in multiple items and get a new one out if it's a good combination. We're going to talk about this in a second too, but put a pin in that for now. The other thing that I want to do, so we're talking about alchemy, right? And these platforms, basically, the world is built right now out of these rectangles that are acting as platforms that we're putting together, and each of these is a separate object right now. I'm okay with that, and I think that is the way that we will want to kind of build our game, unless we start seeing some kind of performance problem or something, having lots of different objects for the different platforms. But basically, I think that we want to introduce, because the theme of the game is alchemy, I think we want to attach the idea of materials to platforms. So we're going to say platform materials is something that we want a mechanic for. And because this game, the idea is alchemy, I think that we want a case where we can change the material of platforms in the world to do, basically to change how you would interact with them. And so some examples would be changing a solid block into air, that is deleting it. So if there's a barrier in the way, you do something alchemical to turn it into air, and now I can go through there. Another one is changing whether a solid block floats or sinks. I don't think we need to implement something like this with a lot of physics on top of it. Maybe with more time we would do it. I think that the way to do this one is to say floating and sinking is something that happens. We're getting network issues. Actually, I should be on. Am I really getting network issues right now? Hold up. This is extra frustrating. We're back. This is extra frustrating though, because I am on Ethernet. I am on a wired connection. Okay, well, not sure how much of that may have dropped out. Basically, I think changing whether or not a solid block floats or sinks is going to be not about having physics, not about having things actually float. This is going to be, there is a y coordinate for where this object should be when it is sinking, and an y coordinate for where this object should be when it's floating. If you change something from floating to sinking, it moves from its floating y coordinate down to its sinking y coordinate. If it changes from sinking to floating, it moves up to a particular point. And I think that is a way that we can do this while have this kind of mechanic while keeping it simple to implement. So we'll say fixed, floating, and sinking. We'll call them altitudes. Let's just call them y positions. Y positions. So there's not going to be, in our design right now, there's no x-axis equivalent to this. This is just, you float up, you float down, or you sink down, x and y. How do you change the material? So I think this is, for a game jam game, I think these are all the things that we want our platforms to do, right? We want platforms to be solid or not, we want them to be floating or sinking, and that's it. I think that will be plenty for us to do to make a small, remember, we're just trying to make like a slice of a game for this project, so we don't need to make it any more complicated than that. I think that's all of the kind of material stuff. Or material properties that we would want to capture. So let's actually make these, let's just separate these out a little bit. Combine items in a special container is related to how we change these. So how do we change these? Right now we're able to throw, let's say, mechanics to implement. Right now we're able to pick up and throw items, right? We've seen that before. We can see that again. What I would like to do is make it so you can have items which are thrown and which basically is like a potion that breaks on impact. It hits something, it's expended, we detect that collision with whatever it's hitting, and maybe change its material, right? So you could imagine a case, again, you're going to have to use your imagination. Suppose this was something that one material that we wanted to change to another. We throw our potion of change material A to material B at it, and on hit, it breaks, it changes the material. That is kind of the idea. So we're going to say, throwing potions to change materials. Crucially, I think this means that we're going to have some items in the inventory which aren't, like, you need, like, basically you need to differentiate between throw and drop, right? Because we want to be able to almost, like, equip a potion as, in order to be able to throw a whole bunch of copies of it, right? We don't want it to be a case where I have a potion, I throw it, and now there's an empty spot in my inventory, and I gotta go get the potion again from wherever I got it if I threw it in the wrong place. So I think throw versus drop is going to be something that we will want to designate and to differentiate, and those will be on different buttons. Okay, so throw versus drop. So the idea is you throw a potion in order to change the material of an object in order to open up a way for you to go. How do you get the potions? Well, remember when I said combine special items? Combine items in a special container? This is basically what I want to be the core kind of mechanic of this game, is seeking out components for these potions and combining them together to make a complete potion. So basically, I would want there to be so-called complete potions, right? Which is like a potion that is ready to throw. A complete potion would be something that moves from one material to another. Think of it like a chemical reaction, or like, I don't know, something that is not just an equation but is directional, right? So like if you had like wood to stone, this is an example of a complete potion. It takes one material, takes us all the way to the other. That means that you can do multiple transitions on a single object by maybe using multiple potions, right? I do wood to stone and stone to air, right? Would allow me to take something that was wood and turn it into air, making it stone in between as a transitory state. I also want to have incomplete potions. This is a little bit harder for me to describe. Basically, the idea would be, instead of just having a potion from wood to stone, I would have wood to like X, or some, alchemical symbol of some kind. And then you could have X to stone. We combine these together in some kind of this combining items in a special container in order to create a complete potion of wood to stone. So that's the idea, right? And you can be more complex with this, I guess. You could say something like wood to XY, XY to, or sorry, X, or let's call it Y to X, YY to stone, right? This would allow you to, you'd go wood to X, Y, you would mix it with this Y to X, you'd get wood to X, you would make this changes to wood to XX, and then you would mix it with this to make wood to stone. That's kind of the idea that I have in mind. Okay, what materials will we need in total? So these are the mechanics that we want to implement, and I think that these are all of the mechanics in our game. Okay, I think that this is where you stop. So we're running around. So again, our whole kind of gameplay loop is running around the world, looking in these containers for these incomplete potions, using them to put together these complete potions, and taking the complete potions and changing the materials of blocks in the world that make up the level in order to change their physical properties, whether they can be passed through or not, whether they float or sink. That's basically, that's it. That's all we want to do. Okay, so there's our incomplete potions. Mercy. So, I want to talk about all of the materials that we're going to have, because I want to keep the list very short. Basically, I want to keep the list short, and I want us to design a really small game. Basically, again, keeping in mind this game is supposed to be a vertical slice. It's supposed to be something small. It's supposed to be something that we can complete in the 10 days that we have remaining. Because we've used up 2/3 of the time in the jam. So mechanics so materials. Here's what I'm thinking. Ready? These are all the materials that I want. Wood, which floats. Stone, sinks. Air is basically a deleted state for something. I think that the goal of our game, because our game is about alchemy, it would be fun if like the whole goal, the thing you're trying to do, is to make a potion that will turn lead, which sinks, into gold, which also sinks, In terms of, I think we could have more materials that are metals that sink, that are solid and sink basically, if we need to just have more variety for whatever reason. I think that that's something that we can, you know, right now we're basically tripled up on something that is solid and sinks. I think that we can quadruple, pentuple, whatever, have more materials like that safely. If we just need to make like a bigger tree of possible recipes. Okay. What is the order that I have in mind for this? Oh, you know what? We're actually not quite done here. We're actually not quite done with our mechanics to implement. And you'll see why. So, in terms of our order, we want, generally speaking, stone to have a way to go to wood. Wood to have a way to go to lead. Lead to have a way to go to gold, eventually. Gold has a way to go to air, right? So you'll be able to basically, this means that we can have gold doors that we can unblock with gold to air early in the game, and we can do the stone to wood, wood to lead to make things float and sink. Lead to gold is our goal. That is something that we should be keeping away from the player until the very end. I think that it's possible that we should decide this as we're laying this out, but let's actually just put a maybe on this incomplete potions. It might be more fun, instead of having like an incomplete potion, to have just lots of intermediate materials that are kind of aesthetically different, but maybe functionally the same. So have like tin and iron and copper and stuff. And so instead of doing like wood to XY to YX to XX to stone, whatever, do like wood to something else that floats to stone. I don't know. Something to think about. Yeah. Anything else that we want to say here right now? The other mechanics that I think we need, since we have things that are floating, we need to designate an area as water. My thought is water is off limits. So if you go in water, you're dead, you're gone, you're whatever. If you are able to be off limits, then we need to have some kind of a checkpoint. Somewhere that you go back to. When you go somewhere that's off limits. And then I think we may also have a need for some other barrier that is off limits that doesn't behave like water, that you wouldn't expect to sink to the bottom, just to be able to put up kind of walls and stuff. Maybe that would be something like laser is off limits, is a line that's off limits. This is a big maybe. Let's take a look at our layout that we're going to do, and we can decide this after that. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually liking this incomplete potions idea less, as I think about, like, it could be fun to just have more materials in the game, especially if they are just going to look different and not function differently. Something to think about. Cool. So, I want to show you my idea for a tutorial area to show you, teach a player how this mechanics are supposed to work. So let's get our brush. Can I just make this all like white in the background to start? I guess we made it blue before because we wanted it to look like a blueprint in the last game jam. Let's do that. F it. Okay. So here's our blueprint. Can I make this look even more like a blueprint? Don't do it, PD. It's not worth the time. It's definitely not worth the time. Let's just make it worth the time. Let's do it like this. Right. Boom. There's our... That's not right. There's our blueprint paper. Okay, so, beautiful. This is much more, to me, aesthetically appealing to look at. Let's get a white brush, and I'll show you what I'm thinking. So, okay, so you're a little baby player starting out in the tutorial area. We have to teach you how all these things work, right? And I think we should do, there's the model in a lot of games where basically they put up an obstacle. You can't get past the obstacle unless you know, like you have to learn something in order to get past the obstacle basically, and now you know the mechanic, right? So as we introduce a mechanic, we put up a roadblock that can only be resolved by understanding the mechanic. So here's what I'm thinking. I know I said wood, stone, air, lead, gold are the things that we need. Let's for this, and we might fold these back into the other materials that we're thinking about, but let's do it like this. Let's have kind of our tutorial materials. We're going to say that there's iron. What's our things that start with other letters? Copper, tin, and air, right? And we're going to say copper and tin. Maybe these things can be freely switched between each other, so you can look at them, check them out in the tutorial area. We're also going to have tin to air, and maybe you have something like iron to copper, right? And so you start out, and we give you like a little area where there's like a block or something, right? Which is going to be, let's say this is going to be copper. And we're like, hey, you got this cool potion right here. You can... how am I gonna denote this pictographically? You've got a potion here. This is a potion from... Maybe we just need to be able to switch back and forth to the text tool really quick. So let's go... add a new text layer. Oh, I'm not... no, this is going to be terrible. That is a mistake. There's a mistake! This is going to be a potion of, like, copper to tin, right? And maybe we've also got a potion over here of, like, tin to copper. And so at the beginning of the game, we have some kind of dialogue. Oh, that's what we need. That is a feature. Some way of communicating text. Probably signs. Let's just say signs with text. And a sign with text, we can, you know, texture it to look like a person or something if we want an NPC in huge quotation marks. Okay, so we've got our copper to tin and our tin to copper, and you can mess with this copper block in this first room, but you're just allowed to leave. If you want to leave this first room, you just get to go into the next one. There's no problem there. And so we just have like a door or something over here, and you're gonna go to the right because everybody playing a video game loves to go to the right. Okay, so over here is the first room where you're going to be meeting a locked door, right? There's going to be a door here, which is going to be made of, let's say it's going to be made of copper, right? And there's going to be a potion here, in here, that is copper to air, right? So it's like, hey, you can, if you weren't paying attention before, you got to pay attention now to be able to leave this. This is a potion of, we'll say, copper to air. So you pick up the potion of copper to air, you throw it on the door, bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go. I had notes for this. Let me see. So, you've got copper to air, you've got these materials, or these potions over here that let you do copper to tin and tin to copper, right? The next room is not going to have any potions in it, and you're going to be like, how do I move forward? Because there's going to be another block here, which is going to be made of tin, right? And so to get out of here, you've got to do tin to copper, copper to air. You have all of the potions to do that, but that's your first kind of like puzzle to figure out. Is, okay, I know that I can turn a copper thing into air. I know that I can turn tin to copper, so we do tin to copper to air, right? And that's the way that you get past this block here. After that, I reckon we need to show people about how to like combine potions. So potentially, let's just go like this and say that like this is continuing just in a long corridor for our starting area. This is going to take us to, I guess this is why I was saying we need like an iron, right? So we're going to do iron. What did I say? Tin. Oh, so I did this backwards. So we need an iron to tin recipe, but we're going to need to learn how to mix things, right? Because that's an important element of our game. So let's just go like ... This is continuing on to the next line. Here we've got our... continuing on into this room, and we need our combining block. How do we designate this? Let's do it like this. Let's have our combination be like... We'll just do this right now with like a rectangle with an X on it. This means a combining block. So we've got our combining block here, and we're going to have two potions here. One of them is going to be like an iron to some special alchemical symbol. We should decide what that is, but let's just call that an alpha for now. Because Greek philosophy feels kind of Greek. Not philosophy. Alchemy feels kind of Greek. And over here, you've got your potion that is going to be alpha to real material, and that material is going to be copper, right? And so now, to get to this next door, which is going to be iron here, you're going to have to... Let's do this carefully. To get to this last door, before you get out into the game, you're going to have to combine iron to alpha and alpha to copper to make iron to copper. You throw the iron to copper on the door to... sorry, you turn... This should be... not copper, this should be tin, right? Oh, I just realized why making this a gradient in the background was a really bad idea. Let's go. Let's just change this to a T. Perfect. Looks really good and really natural there. So this is actually to tin, right? And so basically you go... To get to this last door, you have to use the combiner to make an iron to tin potion. You turn the iron door into tin, you turn the tin door into copper, you turn the copper door into air, and you're out. I don't know if we need to do floating and sinking stuff in the tutorial, or if that's something that we let people feel out later. But I think this is basically my idea of like a long corridor just for like our tutorial area to get people into the game at the beginning. I think a really good goal for at a minimum for this week is to try to build this area out quickly. Because this will be touching on most of the mechanics, not the floating and sinking, but a lot of the mechanics of the game. I think if we can get in place everything we need to do this, that would be great. So, what are some problems that we have? One of the problems is we need to indicate to people what the potions do. I guess that we can do this by... like the name of the potion. We could call it like, you know, copper to tin or copper to alpha or something, or have some other you know, thing when you highlight it in the inventory, basically. Do any of these need to be in containers? Probably. Maybe this one is in a container. So what if we put this, actually we'll say this is in a container. Boom. And that way you learn how to take things out of a container, and then you learn how to put them into the combining thing later. Okay. This is an example of what we want our game to look like, kind of up close. Let's zoom out a little bit. So I'm just gonna do a new image. Can I make this like... Well, I don't know. I don't know what the right way to do this is. Actually, let's make this a little bit darker. Let's choose this darker color. Fine, that little dot can be there. You win, little dot. You get to stay there. And let's think about what our game is going to look like. Actually, can I put this other color in my alternate color so I can switch back and forth between those? Good. Let's think about what our game looks like in totality. So, this I have no idea how to do. When we did the level design for Cake King's Rent Fiesta, this is the game that we made in the last game jam that we did, we really made it up as we went along. Basically kept adding new areas as we went, and I want to try to be more deliberate than that this time. So let's start out, let's just think. But I don't know quite how to do that. So let's say that you're starting out at the beginning. I do like the idea that there's kind of a hub right in the middle that we're going to keep coming back to. So let's design, like, let's say that our tutorial area is here, right? This is our tutorial area. When we come out of here, we know how to do the basic mechanics, but maybe we don't really know anything else at this point. So let's just write, or maybe we don't know any of the materials that we're actually going to use in the game. I think that we might just keep the materials that we get access to there as like tutorial materials. So let's go to tutorial area. Is here, right? And then, can we please make the text not enormous? That would be super cool. Let's make this, instead of size 60, let's make it like size 16. That's fine. So here's our tutorial area here. We know what that looks like. We know that that is how you start the game. I think that I want to... So again, we mentioned that these are the materials. These are the 4 kind of potions that you need to make to get all the way through the game. And lead to gold being the last one. So let's think of what order we would get these in. So I think, do we need gold to air? Is that actually a mistake? Do we just use the other metals to air? I think so. And then we can, yeah, we don't need gold to air because we already have something else to air. We can make it always, we can, yeah, let's do it like this. So we've gotten copper and tin back and forth, copper to air, iron to tin. These are all things that we know how to do coming out of the tutorial, which means there'd be only 3 more things to do. I mean, you could do like a gold to air, but, or one of these other materials to air. Basically, the reason I want to include gold to air in here, I like the idea of just deleting a gold door in our quest to turn lead into gold, but I also like the idea of, at the end of the game is over when you turn something made of lead into gold, but then you can also turn it into air and ruin everything. As I just think kind of a cute little idea to be able to happen at the end. So let's do it like this. Hello, do I brush? So let's say we've got like a hub area here. And we can move all this around. What we should have done, if I was smart, is have this be its own layer so we could move this around. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to delete this bad boy. Delete this layer. Just do this part over because we haven't done anything so far. We'll have a background layer, which is going to be that blue color. Oh, and then we can make it a gradient if we want, actually. So that's great. Perfect. This needs to be easy. There's no need for this, but I just like the way it looks. Boom. And then lock this bad boy. Let's lock this layer. And then we will have our drawing layer. Cool. And we can just merge these things down, these text assets down whenever we make them, so we don't have like a million layers hanging around. Okay, so our tutorial layer takes us to kind of our hub, right? And we know that there are 3 abilities that we're basically going to need to get through this whole game. So let's go text, please. Yes, add a new text layer. This tool is just a little bit heavyweight for what we're actually doing, but that's okay. So we've got our hub area, right? And please, for the love of God, merge that down. Great. Boom. Here's what our level looks like so far. Our hub area, I think, should have a combiner. I don't know if we need lots of, like, combining stations through the whole world, but at a minimum, I want to have one in the hub. Maybe it makes sense to keep coming back and forth. Oh, I forgot the most important mechanic. I actually think this will be something that's very easy to implement, but very huge and important. A timer at the top. Signs with text. A timer. And the timer, it doesn't, it doesn't affect the game. You don't need to do it in under a certain time or anything like that. But there's a timer that starts when you start the game and it ends when you turn lead into gold. And I think that's gonna be just a nice thing to have, just to make the game a little bit replayable, just to make it, give you an idea of like how well you're doing, basically. So you can just play the game to try to complete it, or you can play it to try to be fast. So we go to the hub, right? The next thing that we need to know is Mercy. Let's say that the next thing that we need is going to be gold to, okay, yeah, it's gold to air, let's say. So there's going to be like a gold door. So we're going to be able to we're going to be able to go through a door, to go to like, this, where we're going to, the ability that we're going to earn in here is going to be gold to air. And so then maybe we'll find a gold door or something in one of these. Please, not like this. Oh, why? Okay, this is actually probably fixable, but it's just a little bit of a pain. Cool. Here's our gold to air zone. Merge that down. Is this drawn on here? I thought this layer was locked. Why did they let me draw on the locked layer? God damn it. Okay, whatever. Really? Bit of a huge pain. Okay, so you go and get gold to air. Then maybe you do... let's say you go down and do some, like, water puzzles. So here we're going to need stone to wood. So let's do it like this. Soulfinder says, I'm lurking. What inspired this game? Could it include giant butterflies and giant centipedes? I'm joining late. Is there a major theme other than alchemy? I've caught on to that. Sorry, I missed this message earlier. There isn't a major theme other than alchemy. I think that we should be careful about including anything alive at this point. Basically just because we're kind of late in the process and I don't want to... we have kind of frameworky code for a lot of, even like the mechanics that aren't implemented right now. We have like an idea of like platforms are a class and can have different properties. So one of those properties could be a material. We have items that we can pick up and throw and take in and out of containers. But we don't really have like anything moving right now, like an enemy or something, other than the player basically. So I do think we should try to avoid it. So you need gold to air here. Let's say you get gold to air here, and you get stone to wood here. And let's say you could go to either of these before, like you could go either of these ways at the beginning. Let's make it so that you need both of these to get through the next area. So the next area will say, I don't even know. Yeah, we got to think about how to design this. The next area we're going to say needs stone to wood and gold to air. And that's just, those are the things that you need to be able to get through here. And after here, I don't know how to design a game. After here, we can do something like... Let's do it like this. So if you get stone to wood and gold to air, now we do wood to lead. Right? That's the next one. So maybe you go up here or something, and you get wood to lead. And you go, please. Why? Wood to lead is here. Please. This was a mistake to use this. We'll use a better tool next time we do this. You get wood to lead. And maybe there's one more way coming off of the hub that's like needs everything, basically. We'll say you come back down here and now you need... Needs wood to lead. And then our last area is going to be gets lead to gold. And there's a gold thing here at the hub that we got to turn to gold specifically. So there's like some kind of goal object here where we got to make clear that like the purpose of the game is turn this statue or whatever into gold. So last thing is gets... I don't know if the layout actually needs to be in this shape, but for some reason this was the easiest way for me to depict this. The last thing that we need is going to be our lead to gold. Okay? So. Basically, we have a really... Because there's not very many things in this game, because we want to keep the scope really, really low, really, really small. Basically, at the beginning, you go through the tutorial. You can choose to go gold to air or stone to wood first. You need both of those things to get through this next area and the last area. And then you get wood to lead by going through there, With wood to lead, you can go through this other area, get lead to gold, come back to the hub, and you're done. So, I don't know. Was this a useful flowchart to make? Maybe not. I want to show you an example of a puzzle that I have in mind. Because I think that maybe it would be useful to kind of chart out what some of these rooms can look like. So again, let's make this easy. And just do the solid color. Lock that, please. Cool. So I'll give you an example of a puzzle that I wrote down. So really easy one, right? You've got your stone to wood, right? And you can... So like a puzzle for stone to wood would be like, here's my little player, P. And I go over here. And there's some kind of a gap with this water in it. The water is going to just reset us to some kind of a checkpoint location. I can't make this jump, but there is an item at the bottom here, which is made of stone. You throw the potion down, boom, you turn the stone into wood. We do stone to wood. Now it goes up, and you can jump across it and get across the platform, right? You can also do, please. That also means that we'll be able to do kind of the inverse, making something that floats into something that sinks. You can do, where is the fill bucket for the love of God? Good. You could do something like this. You could say, okay, so I'm the player. Again, kind of the inverse. I'm trying to go across here. There's this thing that's floating that's made of wood. Right, we've got our ceiling. Maybe we can't squeeze through here. We want to go over here. This is in water. We do wood to stone. Wood to stone. And the wooden thing falls out of the way. And now we can walk across. Cool, easy enough. Let me show you a puzzle that I had in mind that uses both. Because we'll have both at a certain point. Maybe we get stone to wood and wood to stone before we get gold to air, actually. Does that make more sense? Because I think it's easier maybe to make puzzles that use, or make a puzzle that uses both. Here's the one kind of that I had in mind. So you start out by, you're the little player. This is me. Boom. Player P. And I'm running along. I'm living my life. And I come to a place, wait, I had this diagrammed out. Let me consult my notes. Okay, yeah, so I'm running along. And there's this platform that's like this. And I can't jump all the way across. We've seen this before. P for player or P for Piotr, lol. Why not both? So there is a stone thing here, right? Boom. So there's this stone thing here that is in the way. We do, okay, it needs to be lower than that though, right? I guess you need a further, maybe like this would be clearer. And you've got this big thing in the way here that goes way, 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 way down. There's the water here. You go, boom, you do stone to wood. It floats up, now you can run across, right? You come down over here, boom, boom, and now, oh, you know what? No, I'm wrong. Hold up. It needs to be a little bit different. Okay. Sorry. It's a stone thing down here, but it goes super, super deep. And is like this in the water. We've got our stone item here. We do stone to wood, which causes it to raise up. Now the platform is here. We go across the platform. We go down over here. But now this is in the way because it's been raised up, right? So we've got like our platform maybe that's in the way. Maybe this connects here to stop somebody from trying to sneak in here. I actually don't know how we would prevent that. Oh, I do know how we'd prevent that. So you're down here. This is now made of wood. We have wood to lead at this point. Do we have a wood to lead? That's one, right? Wood to lead. Yeah, so you do your wood to lead, this sinks back down, and we go across. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Peter, why don't I just jump down there? I see two solutions to this. One would be having some kind of a falling damage. If you fall too far, you get killed. You go back to your checkpoint. The other one would be to have some kind of a laser or something that is here that is going to block the player from moving vertically here. I think... Let's actually take out laser, because that seems kind of contrived. And let's do fall damage. So a maximum fall distance. Okay. Shoot. You know what? Shoot. Okay. I actually gotta run. Okay. What? It's kind of a pain. I gotta run. This is, I guess, just a short one. I probably won't be back streaming this tonight, but I'll be working on this tonight. I'll post any updates that I do to the GitHub. Have fun, be safe, don't go too crazy, don't get too crazy. Agreed. We gotta keep it simple. I do gotta run though. Okay, I didn't expect that to happen. We'll just call it early. We'll call it way early. We won't stream again though. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably work on this offline. Dang. Okay. If you watched any of this tonight, thank you so much for watching live. If you watch us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching that way too. And until next time, I will see you later.